shoot, I forgot to record all this too. Okay, so we did acceptability, portability. Let's talk. Does anybody have another one?
Divisibility.
Divisibility. Why divisibility?
Well, because like it says in the example, like we use like for example, like like there's a $5, $20, or $50. They have only specific like amounts that they made in bills.
Yeah.
So like it's like saying something costs $5 and you give the person a 20. They're not gonna rip the bill into 4 pieces, making it that each part is $5.
Right. So the value of a 20 is more than $1. So that like ripping up just like $1 into like little bits isn't going to make 25 cents. It's not how money works, right? Same thing if you had a 20 and you ripped it up into fives, that's not how it works, right? You need to
Isn't that illegal?
It's not illegal, like, but you don't want to do it. Like, it's $1. Like, why are you like even $1? I'm probably not going to rip this up. Oh, I could, I guess. I've never really ripped money before.
I'll rip one up.
That thing. No, you're illegal.
So divisibility is important because if you go to a store and you have $100 bill and you want
if I rip $1,
be quiet. If you have money, if you have $100 and you have 60, if you are spending $60 on something, you are not going to just leave without getting that $40 back because the value of whatever you're paying for something is $60.
That's why change exists.
Okay, Uriel, be quiet. All right, so this is why this is so important because you are not going to lose money when you're going to a place and not just going to buy a bunch of stuff sometimes to hit that $40 mark, right? You will know that value of that, you're not just going to lose out on that $40. So when you go to a store, more than likely, if you give them $100, you're going to get $40 back or whatever it is, right? If you're spending 60 on something, okay? So that divisibility, that you can break this into 100 pennies and it still has that same value of 100 pennies, right? You all know what the value is. Same thing if you had a $100 bill, you could split into 5 20s, whatever it is, right? So all that stuff is really important, and you don't really think about why that makes it valuable, but it does, because if you could not divide it up, if everyone was just walking around with a bunch of like $10 or $20 bills, you know how much money people would lose? It'd be a ton of money, and no one would want to buy anything unless they were hitting that specific amount of money that they had, right? So that's why it's so important too. Anyone else? So there's a couple more. So we've done acceptability, divisibility, portability. There's 3 more that we could talk about. Anyone else?
Limited supply.
Limited supply? Okay, why limited supply?
Because what if we run out?
Well, this is what we're going to talk about in a couple weeks, right? When we talk about inflation. If you guys have never heard of inflation, this is really important. If everyone just had a bunch of money, it would make that money less valuable, right? If you knew everyone had a lot of money just going around, it would mean that would make that money less valuable. So like that's why pennies don't really have much value anymore, right? They still are a penny, they still count for something, but eventually that's why people are saying maybe we should just get rid of the penny, which might be in the future. We'll see. But limited supply is important because the more of this thing, so if you print that's why we can't just print money out. That's one of the videos that you guys had to watch yesterday, was why don't we just print more money? It's not how it works. You need to make sure that you have a limited amount of it so that way it becomes more in demand. So a couple of things about a dollar bill too that you guys should know also. And this is something that you can watch in that video. And there's a couple other videos on YouTube that are really good that talk about this. There's only one paper supplier in the entire United States who makes money. And money is not it's not paper. This isn't paper. It's cotton. And a couple other things too that's woven all together very finely. And this type of paper, quote unquote, whatever this, it's like a hybrid paper, is only made by one company in the United States. I don't even think they say what company it is that make it. And that company, it's patented by the United States government. And the government is the only one that is allowed to buy this type of paper from them. No one else is allowed to make this. So that's why it's so valuable. Huh?
Is that why you could tell, like, when, like, your money is, like, fake, you know, how they put it to that little machine?
Absolutely.
How they scan
Absolutely. Yes. So that's part of it, right? There's certain also, like, symbols on it and stuff like that they put. each note is denotes something too, and they also have like unseen stuff where there's certain markings that you can tell, especially on like $100 bill and stuff. But this is why, if you have a thing of money, like if you have this paper, you can kind of tell by the weight of it, how it feels, how it smells, all this stuff is by design. There's a reason why they have it. It's because you can tell when money is real, even if like subliminally sometimes you can't tell. But if you felt like this paper versus like notepad paper, you can tell the difference between these two, right? There's a certain feel to money. It has like money has like this rigid feel to it, even though it's not rigid at all. It's like weird, like how it works out like that. But also the green dye, same thing. The green is actually, if you guys watch that video, they say green it's subliminal too. Green is a symbol of wealth and prosperity. So that's why they make money green like this.
Wait, Neach, how do like how like people like have like wash their money? How does that work?
Money laundering?
It literally, well, you got to remember it's cotton, so it's like literally washing a t-shirt. So it's like, you wash it, it's still the same value as long as your money isn't, going
Mr. Neach,
going bad or anything. So yeah, Chris.
You think she's talking about money laundering?
Yeah.
Oh, laundering. Oh, my bad. Sorry, I thought you meant.
It doesn't mean
like
actually
laundering.
Washing. It doesn't actually mean washing. It kind of does.
That's funny. No, but it's no, money laundering works by you.
What are you doing?
It's basically what there's different types of money laundering, for example, but let's say you were doing an illegal business on the side. The way money laundering works is that is different than you making money. Printing money is different, right? So this is not what we're talking about. Money laundering is you are basically doing a illegal business in disguise of a real business. Does that make sense? So like if you wanted to do like a fake business, you want to do like a drug.
Just watch Good Girls.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
the best thing
I watch Good Girls.
that's actually not a bad show. The better one to watch is Breaking Bad. I learned a lot about money laundering from that show. But you basically, what it is you are funneling illegal money into a real business. So you hide everything over the real business that you have. Like you have this facade of like a real business, and really it's just like the whole real business is a disguise for the illegal business that's under it. That's kind of what it means. So money laundering means like you are making your illegal money legal by going through a legal process and like a legitimate process. So that's what it means. Basically, it means like taking dirty money, quote unquote, illegal money that is made an illegal thing and making it clean. That's why they call it money laundering.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, but that limited supply is really important. And if you guys go and watch, but really that is true. You could go wash money too. Literally, like you could launder it. You could wash it in a like a dry clean. I don't know if you can like straight up just wash it, but that's why like when you wash, like if you ever found like $1 bill and like the dry after you get it done in the dryer or as it comes out of the washing machine and stuff, it's like solid, but it still is money. It's still good. That's why it doesn't matter. As long as it's all together, it stays the same. So, all right, there's 2 more. What else do we got? Excuse me, Chris.
Uniformity.
Okay. Why is uniformity important?
Well, there has to be some way to keep it in order. What I got out of uniformity was basically so it could be added up in an easier way. Like I don't know how to explain it honestly, but it's like money and money go together. It's not like you buy things with bread and like how the example was like fish and an apple, and you buy it with like, I don't know, something else. I guess things that have the same value. I can't explain it.
No, you're right.
I can't explain it.
So like you couldn't pay for like something with like,
Not like bargaining.
but yeah. So like you couldn't say like, I'll give you $10 and my PlayStation for whatever, right? You're not going to go to a legitimate business and do that. Now, if you were privately trading with somebody, maybe you could be like, I'll give you my PlayStation and then like a $10 also on top of that, right? For whatever you have. The value of whatever you want to price or something is bartering, basically, right? So when you go to, if you're talking about uniformity, if you're trying to go to somebody, if you're going to a store is only going to accept cash. That's basically the only thing they're going to accept outside of maybe like GameStop is like the only place where they'll trade you for, whatever, which is a scam on its own.
They won't.
But they don't do that anymore. But that's why that is considered valuable to them. So that was a type of business where they would do that kind of stuff. Now they don't really do that anymore. But uniformity is important because if all dollar bills look different, you wouldn't tell what's real or fake too, right? So like we were saying, like how you can tell about the differences. Like this $1 bill feels the same as a 20, feels the same as 100, feels the same. Now the differences are there based off of like whose face it is, like how much money it says, the serial number, everything on the back too. All this stuff looks different. So when you guys see it, but every dollar bill looks the same. So this is valuable just because I can look at this right away and know that this dollar bill looks the same as every other dollar bill, right? Everything looks the same. And that's the important part of it. Because if they all look different, we wouldn't be able to tell what was real and what was fake, how much something was worth. Like, that's why when you have, like the $2 bill is so valuable sometimes because the $2 bill is very limited it also comes to limited supply, but there's also part of that uniformity where it's just very rare too, right? Okay, so what else? We got one last one, I think.
Durability, I think.
Durability? Yeah. So cash is able to withstand a usual amount of physical strain, right? This bill is only from 2017, but I guarantee you probably find bills that are from like 1980, 1970, stuff like that. The thing that the dollar is supposed to last you a long time, and it's not technically. That's why they don't do paper, right? Paper doesn't last that long. Paper gets old, paper gets wrinkled, but honestly, a dollar bill gets wrinkled and everything, but it stays pretty much the same. It's not like it's pretty durable. Like if I pull on it like this, it's not falling apart, right? Same thing with like paper. Paper does like this type of paper might be all right, but like this rips pretty easily, right? That same sort of thing. It's durable, right? It's not as durable as a dollar bill. I'm literally doing the same amount of strength on this dollar, and it's not ripping easily, right? So that is
dollar bill.
That's a sign that it's really durable. This can last you years. If you guys didn't know too, that when money gets like, let's say I give this to the bank, if the bank then transfers that to the Federal Reserve, the first thing the Federal Reserve is going to do is burn this, right? Unless they think it's still good. But after a certain amount of years, 2017, they probably want to burn it. They probably keep it. They put it out and they recycle it basically. But for many dollar bills, they'll just burn it. For old ones especially, because they want to get it out of circulation. They want to like have it, do that. Have you guys ever had a dollar bill that says like look up on something like www, see where my bill's been and stuff like that? Have you guys gotten that ever?
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. Like honestly, if you ever get one of those, just look it up and you can always put in where you were. I've had one that was like in like a whole bunch of different places. It was crazy. So and it was like 30 years old and it just had traveled from place to place to place. So it's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's those are the 6 characteristics. So I would tell you guys I would tell you guys to keep those in mind when you're going through this and when we're going through this chapter at least about the ideas and value of money and what that means. So the rest of the chapter covers like stuff with Hamilton. Hamilton's coming back into the mix, talking about banking and where banking started, why it started and how it did, what banking is used for. So we've talked something about banking when we did personal finance, but you guys can read this stuff again. And I would tell you to do that. Huh?
Yeah. That chapter you had us read where like the characteristics are. So I'm looking on the next page and there's like 3 different types of money.
Yes.
Like, so how does
commodity
that work?
commodity money, representative money, and fiat money.
Those are the 3.
So
Fiat.
Like the car, yes, Chris.
like let's say So commodity money consists of objects that have value in and of themselves that are also used as money. For example, various societies use salt, cattle, precious stones, and commodity as money. One of those would be gold, I think. Gold is a commodity, right? So that's why people buy into gold, because it doesn't really lose its value, and sometimes it gains more value, especially in the middle of a crisis.
Even tobacco,
corn, all that stuff. It's basically stuff that you can barter, right? So that's commodity money. Representative money makes use of objects that have value solely because the holder can exchange them for something else of value. For example, if your brother gives you an IOU for $20, the piece of paper is worth nothing. The promise that he will do something with all your chores for a month may be worth quite a lot, however. So representative money could be like, you're not like, if you worked, for example, like, your parents were paying for a car for you, right? And they were like, well, you're going to have to help. We're not going to pay you anything, but you're basically going to work off what you need to for us. That's representative money. It's basically like, they're not paying you anything. They're paying you or like your cell phone bill. Like, we pay for your cell phone bill, so you have to help us with certain things. Sorry, I need to get water. But that's why this was really important. It's representative of the value of whatever that thing is. Okay. And fiat money is whatever the government decrees as important. So if the government, basically this whole thing on here, like where it says like, this note is legal tender for all debts, public and private. If you look at, if you look at that on $1,
that's what it says in the book.
Yeah,
I said that in the book.
Yep. So that is a guarantee by the United States government and the Federal Reserve, because it says Federal Reserve note. This means that if you paid this is basically good enough to out. So if you had $1 debt, this dollar would cover that debt. Basically, is what it means.
Nice.
So, and yeah, so that's kind of so money is just I think super interesting, and how they make it I think is really interesting. It's just not something we think about. We put value on money and don't really think about why we put value on it or why it's so important. I don't know if you guys, I mean, some of you have probably been to Mexico and things like that too, but currency is really important to them. Especially when I went to Argentina, I literally had dudes on the street like yelling cambio, 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 like trying to get me to trade them an American dollar for an Argentine peso. And at that point too, it's a little bit better now, but the Argentine peso was like way down in value. And that's because they had a tremendous amount of debt and a high amount of inflation. And their value of their stuff was almost worth nothing, right? So we had to go. It was illegal for us to go trade an American dollar for an Argentine peso, though. We still did it. I'm just admitting it on camera. I don't care. I'm not going back to Argentina. But like we were at a restaurant and a waiter traded us our American dollars for Argentine pesos, and we got a little bit more value from it. But I think I traded like $200 for 1,600 Argentine pesos, I think is what we ended up trading for. So, but the guy had more. He felt that the dollar had more value than the Argentine peso. That's why it was so important, because he could go trade that $200 in for like, 2,000 or 2,400 Argentine pesos. So it meant a lot more to him. So does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Perfect.
let's go over really quickly what I'm gonna need for you guys for the rest of this week up until next week. Okay. So you guys have to read about banking and the history of banking, and I'm not expecting you to go too much into that. Just do what you can. Maybe read the last chapter, which talks about banking today. Honestly, though, it's all stuff that we've kind of gone over about savings and loans and more. Like we haven't gone over mortgages, but I'm not expecting you guys to know too much about that yet. Credit cards, debit cards, credit union savings, all that stuff is stuff that we've learned it before. The only thing that I would tell you guys to learn differently is that actually like gift cards and things like that are considered money now because they have legal tender at certain restaurants and stores and things like that. So now they actually consider credit, gift cards and all that type of stuff also equal to just money and value. It has value to it, right? And then next week, we are learning about business cycles next week. So the way it's going to work next week is I'm going to post a YouTube video on Saturday or Sunday. It's ready. It's ready to go. I'm giving you guys time at least to do this that way. Literally, you can get my stuff done on Sunday, Monday. It's all due Wednesday, but we don't have class next week. Don't have to come to class this week. Nothing on Friday because spring break starts next week on Thursday. So I just have a YouTube video on Monday that you guys have to watch. You guys are not listening to a podcast. That's the other class. There's a couple of videos you have to watch about business cycles, which talk about the Great Depression and the financial crisis in 2008. And then you guys have one thing due on Wednesday, and then you're done. So I'm going to post everything on Saturday. You literally finish it this weekend and be done with my class and on spring break, at least for my class. For the rest of them, I might have to wait a little bit. But for my class, you guys will be done. We're not having anything on Thursday or Friday. Again, it's just 2 things that I'm going to have you do basically, and then you're good. Or 3 things. 1, watch my YouTube video. 2 is to watch the videos that I post for you guys, and then 3 would be to answer do the activity I had for you. And then that's it. And then you guys have spring break, and then we come back on April 20th, and we'll go and talk about more stuff from that point, okay? Does anyone have any questions or any concerns, anything like that for me? Nope.
Sorry, Mr. Neach.
Yeah.
This is George. Sorry I was late. And also my name is Steven because I guess I'm in my brother's account.
George, I wouldn't know who you are just based off the last name. I just figured it was like, why is this the way that? No, I figured that was. Don't worry, you're fine.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, so, yeah. So does anyone else have anything else for me or any questions? No. All right. Well, I hope you guys are good. That's basically all I have for you guys today. And we'll talk more about business cycles.
No, say something else. Come on.
Huh?
No, not it for today. Come on.
Not it for today? What do you want to talk about, Chris?
No, we have 20 minutes, Mr. Nietzsche. Come on, 20 minutes to hit 3.
Looks like you crave people interaction.
I do.
I've told you guys, like, if we're done in like 20 minutes, like that's all I'm going to take. I just want to check in with you guys and make sure we're good. So, yeah, but I mean, we can talk about what's going on right now if you want to.
Oh, nice beard, Chris, by the way. Nice beard.
Oh yeah, thank you. No problem.
He looks like a young man.
I think
that's
you're
what
reading
my mom
me.
told me.
I think you're reading me.
Wow, George. Wow.
Yeah, if you guys didn't know, today was the
National Burrito Day.
No, it was the most amount of jobs ever lost in a single couple weeks in a month ever.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah.
6.6
Right,
million.
gotta remember this day for next year. The day after April Fool's is the anniversary.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah.
But look, the reason is because not only are people losing their jobs, but they're not gaining another job. So like, it's just like a continuous cycle of people losing their jobs and not really like gaining anything back. Like it's just.
Is this going to
be the way
Great Depression?
Huh?
Is it going to turn out like the Great Depression?
I don't know. Honestly, this is so much different from anything else. I don't think we can compare it to 2008 or the Great Depression. Like, I don't think. Now, again, I'm not saying that it's going to be just as bad or even worse than those things, because there's a good chance we could just recover really quickly and like we're totally fine. But I don't know. I mean, because we've never experienced something like this. This is really a lot different from anything that we've experienced. So, I would tell you that it could be really bad for a bit, but part of it is also we were due for something like this. It just happened to hit us very, very, and not only that, we started off like at the highest peak we could possibly be at, and we're just free falling from this point. Now, again, does that mean that like it's going to turn out really bad? I don't know. I mean, I don't think so, because I think there could be a lot of things that can save us. And I think not only that, but people are ready to work. And there's going to be businesses who open that up when it's all done, but we just don't know what that looks like yet. So that's why it's just like everything's kind of in flux right now. We don't know what anything's going to turn out like. Any other questions about this too?
Nah.
Wait, Mr. Neach, I have a question.
Yeah.
For the $100 bill, why is there a blue strip on it?
That is a security thing. So that type of strip is actually digital now. So
Is that why they have to scan it?
yeah.
No wonder.
There's a certain now even dollar bills have digital. They're actually talking about how eventually they're going to have like a microchip built into most dollars and stuff.
How much does that cost? Is that even cost efficient?
Wouldn't that be super expensive though?
Not really, because I mean
each dollar would have a chip.
Even but it's like a very small one, and it's like ones that are like micro and like barely cost anything to do that. And it's the amount of money it would cost to make that compared to how much money they would probably lose from fake dollar bills is way worth it. So they probably would look at it and be like, well, we could save a lot more money by not losing like certain like having fake currency out there.
What's the estimated amount of loss for counterfeit dollars?
I don't even know. Probably a lot, but not as much as you would think.
Wait, what was that, George? Let me look that up.
Because you got to remember, they don't make many dollar bills per year. They print out a lot and then destroy a lot, but they don't make as many as you would think. They do a pretty good job at making sure that like however much they're destroying, they're also printing, and like vice versa. So they don't print more than they need to or destroy less than they need to. So
George, it says right here like 29 to 41 billion.
Wow, that's ooh.
So for example, if they were like, hey, we can invest 10 billion in putting a microchip into every new dollar bill, that probably would save us like 20. Yeah, they would look. That's $18 billion you can save. So for them, they probably would be like, it's worth the investment. So those are the type of things. But again, you have to remember, microchips don't cost that much, and it actually sometimes too, it actually costs more to make a penny than what a penny's worth. It's just like that's why they've been talking about why are we making pennies anymore? If it costs more to make one than actually what that penny is worth, then aren't we losing money? That's what makes sense. So, yeah. All right. Any other questions?
Mr. Neach,
Yeah.
I saw on TikTok that there's antennas in like the $20 and then like $100 bills. Is that true?
I don't think there's antennas. There's ways for you to keep track of stuff like that, but there's not like a full track. They can't like you can't like put a thing of money in your wallet and then they can track you from their point. I'm sure maybe eventually some people have done that, but the government doesn't have the time or the resources to track everybody's money. Yeah, they can just do that through your cell phone.
You never know. You never know.
I know they can just do that through your cell phone though. It's way cheaper, you know.
Wait, Neach, I have a question. This is about an assignment you gave us. What's that quiz you gave us about?
It's 4 short answers, and it's all about it's just like random questions that I took from the book.
Oh, they're from the book? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, is there like a worksheet?
No. You can literally, I was just like, I was being lazy. Like, it was just like, okay, this is the easiest way to do this. Like, I'm just going to take it from the book and then, like, you know. I totally admit when I'm being lazy about something. I totally admit it. So, yeah, that was
nice. I'm going to do that right now.
It's super. You'll find, literally, if you go into the back sections of each chapter, you'll find the question. You can answer it in the book. And some of it some of it is you actually do have to think about. They're good questions because that's why I took them, because I was like, okay, these are actually pretty good. Where you guys just need to think about it a little bit more of what certain things can mean. So you still have to read the chapter.
I'll read it ish.
I know as long as you skim it, I don't care. I didn't read the chapter ever on anything. So as long as you skim it, then that's all I care about. So
okay.
Any other questions?